Warm greetings to everyone. May every family, every heart following today's story receive the peace, happiness, and blessings bestowed by God. I hope that in the days to come, you will always be protected and strengthened to overcome all difficulties in life. If you love touching and meaningful stories, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to join us in following the challenging yet love-filled journey of Xiao Fuang and the baby. The story began on a gloomy afternoon where the bustling city gradually faded away behind the window of the coach. Xiao Fuang sat silently, her eyes red from many sleepless nights. She carried only a small suitcase, all that remained after years of struggling in the dazzling city. No farewell, no one to see her off. All that Xiao Fuang had left was herself, along with the lingering wounds of her heart. After many years of toiling in the city, Xiao Fuang once believed she could build a home of her own, a stable life. But reality was far more cruel. Work was not enough to cover expenses. Friends she thought were close gradually left when she faced hardship. And then, when she could no longer hold on, she was forced to give up, to return to where she was born, the small village nestled on the northern mountainside. The coach swayed through rugged curves. The closer it came to her hometown, the quieter and more deserted the road became. When the bus stopped at the last station, Xiao Fuang dragged her suitcase down. The long red dirt road leading to the village stretched endlessly, with only the sound of cicadas echoing under the trees. Xiao Fuang sighed, gripping the suitcase handle tightly. She knew the road ahead would not be easy, but at least her hometown was still the only place she could return to. After walking a distance, suddenly a faint sound rose in the quiet space. At first, Xiao Fuang thought it was just a kitten meowing somewhere by the roadside. But then the sound repeated. Not a kitten, but the cry of an infant. She froze, her eyes darting around. By the roadside, beneath a large tree, an old blanket was wrapped tightly. Trembling, Xiao Fuang stepped closer. When she lifted the fabric, her heart clenched. A tiny baby girl, about 6 months old, her eyes half closed, her face flushed red from crying too long. Oh my God! Xiao Fuang choked, her heart pounding. She could not believe, in the midst of these desolate mountains and forests, such a fragile life had been abandoned. The weak baby, her tiny hands flailing in the air as if pleading for help. Flustered, Xiao Fuang put down her suitcase and held the child in her arms. The baby's body was cold, her breathing wheezy. In that moment, painful memories of her own orphaned childhood surged within Xiao Fuang. She too had once been a lost child, deprived of her parents' warmth. And now, before her eyes, another tragic fate was beginning. My child, why must you suffer this? Xiao Fuang whispered, tears streaming. She looked around, hoping to find someone, but everywhere was empty wilderness. No figure, no explanation, only the baby girl and her weakening cries. Xiao Fuang knew, if she left, this might be the end for the tiny life. But if she chose to take her in, the burden would weigh heavier on shoulders already too weary. In the moment of hesitation, her heart suddenly spoke. She tightened her embrace, holding the baby close, whispering like a vow. Don't be afraid. I won't leave you. No matter what, we will live together. The old suitcase lay forgotten by the roadside, no longer important. In Xiao Fuang's arms, a new life had just stepped into a turbulent journey. The road home was no longer hers alone, but also for the child carrying the name of hope. From afar, the village gradually appeared, rooftops peeking behind the bamboo groves. But for Xiao Fuang, this return was nothing like what she had imagined. She no longer carried only pain and a suitcase, but also a fragile life, unintentionally becoming a bond, opening a new story. A story of love, trials, and hope in the darkness. When Xiaofang set foot in her old house, the place where she was born and raised, her heart tightened as countless memories rushed back. But before she could feel the warmth of her hometown, the door opened, revealing the cold face of her sister-in-law. Her eyes swept quickly over the tattered suitcase, then stopped at the child sleeping soundly in Xiaofang's arms. Instead of a welcome, those eyes flashed only suspicion and calculation. Do you still have the face to come back here? Failed in the city, and even dragged along a child of unknown origin. Do you plan to turn this house into an orphanage? Her voice was icy, sharp as a blade. Xiaofang trembled, holding the child tightly, hurriedly explaining. Sister, it's not like that. On the way back, I saw the baby abandoned. I couldn't bear it, so I brought him along. I will take care of him myself. I won't trouble the family. But her words were like wind passing by. The sister-in-law stepped forward, snatched the suitcase and rummaged through it. In a moment, all the meager savings Xiaofang had earned after years of working in the city were in her hands. This will count as your debt for all the years you lived off my husband's family. As for you and the child, get out immediately. Don't defile this house any longer. Xiaofang stood stunned. Her eyes welled with tears, not because of the lost money, but because of the bitterness. The only home she had ever known had now become a place of rejection. With no other choice, she held the child close and quietly turned away, stepping into the scorching midday sky. The endless dirt road stretched out ahead. Tiaofuang's steps were heavy, sweat trickling down her back. On her frail shoulders, she carried a tiny baby boy, his face flushed from the heat. His small hands clutched her shirt tightly, as if afraid that letting go would mean being abandoned once more. Biting her lip, Tiaofuang forced herself to keep walking steadily. Since early morning, her sister-in-law had stripped her of all her money and driven her out of the very house where she had grown up. She carried nothing with her, except for the child on her back, the only one she could now call family. As she trudged on, she suddenly saw a figure collapsed by the roadside ahead. An old man, with disheveled white hair and worn clothes, lay unconscious under the blazing sun. "Sir!" Tiaofuang cried in alarm. She quickly knelt down, shaking him gently. The baby on her back stirred, letting out faint cries, adding to the chaos of the moment. Fighting her exhaustion, Tiaofuang fanned him with her hand, trying to shield him from the harsh sunlight. After a while, the old man slowly opened his eyes. His breath was weak, his voice trembling. I felt so dizzy, almost fainted. Without hesitation, Tiaofuang helped him sit up, fetching a little water from a nearby ditch for him to drink. His frail hands trembled as they held hers, his dim eyes filled with emotion. "Girl, why would you help an old stranger like me?" Tiaofuang smiled faintly, her expression weary but sincere. "You collapsed on the road. How could I just leave you there?" The old man's gaze shifted to the child on her back. A look of surprise flickered in his eyes. "This little one, is he your son?" Tiaofuang shook her head gently, her voice low. "No, I found him abandoned by the roadside a few days ago. Since then, I've treated him as my own. But now I have nothing left, nowhere to turn." Hearing this, the old man remained silent for a long time. Then he spoke slowly, each word weighed with thought. "My child, I am poor and have nothing of value. But on the edge of the village, I have an old house, long empty. No one has lived there for years. If you don't mind, stay there. At least it will shield you from the sun and wind, better than wandering with a child in your arms." Tears blurred Tu Feng's eyes. All the bitterness and humiliation she had endured since morning welled up, now overflowing into gratitude. Bowing her head, her voice choked, she said, "Sir, I will never forget this kindness." The old man slowly leaned on his cane and led the two of them along a small path. The afternoon sun slanted low, casting light on the mossy roof of an old house. Its walls were cracked, its door rickety, but still standing. "This house has little left, but at least it will give you shelter," the old man said, handing her a worn key. Holding the child tightly, Tu Feng bowed in thanks once more. Inside her heart, a faint spark of hope began to glow. When the old man's figure disappeared into the distance, she set the child down and opened the creaking wooden door. Inside, dust coated everything, but the evening light streamed through the window, falling softly on her weary face and the child's. Sitting down, she whispered gently to him, "My child, from now on, even if we have nothing, I will do my best to keep a home for you. We will begin again, from here." The first morning in the abandoned house, pale sunlight streamed through the broken roof tiles, shining down on the damp earth floor. The faint cry of the baby echoed, shattering the silence. Tu Feng startled awake, her eyes red from a restless night of worry. She hurriedly carried the baby outside, hoping the warmth of the sun would ease the lingering chill. With nothing left but a thin blanket and a few pieces of firewood left by the old man, Tu Feng felt adrift in the vast sea of life, unsure of what to cling to. Hunger and cold constantly lurked, but her greatest worry was not herself. It was the 6-month-old child. Many times, looking at the innocent face asleep, she choked up. "My dear, I will definitely find the one who gave birth to you. You cannot grow up not knowing your roots." That very morning, Tu Feng decided to carry the baby to the commune office to report. The old office room, with flickering neon lights, saw several officials staring in surprise at the thin girl carrying a strange baby. She trembled as she told the story of finding the child by the roadside, begging the authorities to help find the family. A middle-aged official took notes and reassured her. "Don't worry, we will make a public announcement. If the parents really want to reclaim the child, they will surely come." Tu Feng bowed in thanks, but a trace of fear rose in her heart. What if the parents truly abandoned the child? Would anyone ever return? Day after day, she stopped by the office, hoping for news. But the bulletin board remained silent. No one came. Each time she returned in disappointment, Tu Feng hugged the baby tightly, comforting him as if to soothe her own sorrow. Life in the abandoned house was still harsh. She gathered firewood to trade for a little rice, sometimes only managing a thin bowl of porridge. The baby, hungry for milk, cried endlessly, and she soothed him with watered-down rice broth, her heart aching like a blade's cut. Yet amidst these hard days, her resolve grew stronger. She would not allow herself to collapse. For now, beyond finding the child's mother, she had to protect this fragile life, one tied to hers like fate itself. That noon, the scorching sun spread across the dirt road by the river. Returning from the commune office without news of the baby's identity, Tu Feng walked silently, the child asleep on her back. Sweat drenched her worn shirt, her legs heavy, but she pressed on. At a bend by the riverbank, she stopped under a tree, gasping for breath. The air was hot, the sound of water striking the shore strangely sharp. She glanced out and froze. A man lay motionless by the water's edge, half his body still submerged. Small waves rocked him, as if one stronger current would carry him away. Her heart pounded. Without hesitation, she bent down, pulling him onto the grass. The baby still slept soundly on her back, breathing steadily, while her sweat soaked her shirt. The man was heavy, his clothes drenched, blood staining his forehead. Fortunately, he was still breathing. She gently shook him, calling softly. After a moment, his eyelids flickered, then slowly opened. He coughed, voice hoarse. "You saved me, didn't you?" Tiofeng nodded lightly, helping him sit up, replying softly, "Where did you come from? If I had been a little later, you might have." The man grimaced from the pain in his shoulder wound, but forced himself to speak. "I am a police officer. While chasing drug traffickers, I was ambushed, attacked, and pushed into the river. Luckily, by God's mercy, I drifted here." He exhaled, eyes closing in exhaustion. Tiofeng shivered. She hadn't expected the man before her to be a policeman, involved in such danger. But looking at his pale face, she saw only a life needing saving, just like the baby on her back. "Don't say more, rest for now," she whispered, eyes filled with both worry and determination. The man gave a faint smile. As if wanting to say more, he could only murmur a few words. "This life-saving grace, I won't forget. You and the baby too." Tiofeng tightened her grip on his hand, feeling a faint glimmer of hope rise in her weary life of hardship. Not long after, the old man's daughter, the one who had once allowed Tiofeng to stay, heard the news and came. She was suspicious, displeased to see a strange girl and a child in the house that belonged to her family. Without listening to any explanation, she coldly waved her hand, forcing Tiofeng and the baby to leave immediately. Tiofeng quietly stepped out, the baby still lying peacefully on her back. With no place to rely on, she wandered along the village road, stretching under the dim twilight. The wind from the fields blew in, cold and lonely. As she was walking aimlessly, she suddenly saw an old leather wallet lying by the roadside. A thought flickered in her heart. Perhaps the owner is still nearby. I must find a way to return it. But before she could put it away safely, two thugs passed by, their eyes instantly fixed on the wallet in her hand. They rushed forward, menacingly trying to snatch it. Tiofeng's heart tightened. She hurriedly shielded the baby in the sling on her back, fearing something terrible might happen. At that very moment, a voice sounded from behind. "That is my wallet." A man stepped forward. His figure was strong, his gaze resolute. As he approached, just one firm look made the two thugs hesitate. After a few scolding words, they awkwardly left, leaving behind a silent space. Tiofeng let out a quiet sigh of relief. The man bent down, took the wallet from her hand, then smiled and nodded. "Thank you. I was looking for it when I found you." Hearing his words, Tiofeng realized the wallet truly belonged to him. And perhaps this was also the unexpected fate arranged by destiny. Seeing the thin girl holding a small child, his eyes revealed a trace of pity. After listening to her entire story, from finding the abandoned baby to the days of uncertainty without shelter, he remained silent for a long time. Finally, he spoke firmly. "If you don't mind, come with the child to my old house. It is no longer splendid, but at least enough to shield from the rain and the sun." Tiofeng's eyes welled with tears. After so many stormy days, at last there was a hand reaching out, guiding her and the little child to a home. Do you think this encounter was destined for Xiaofuang? Will that man become a steady support for her and the baby, or just a passerby? If it were you, In Xiaofuang's situation, would you trust and follow a stranger you just met? Leave your opinion in the comments so we can discuss together. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next surprising and touching episodes of this story.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người. Hôm nay chúng ta cùng đến với Tiểu Phương, một cô gái nông thôn đã từng lên thành phố sinh sống và làm việc. Trong những năm cô sinh sống và làm việc trên thành phố, cô gặp rất nhiều những thử thách, những thành công và thất bại cũng có. Nhưng số phận không cho cô được may mắn, cô lại thất bại thêm một lần nữa. Và cuối cùng cô quyết định trở về quê nhà sinh sống. Khi đang trên đường về quê nhà, Tiểu Phương nghĩ đến ngôi nhà mà mình đã từng sống, nghĩ đến những cái vòng tay của gia đình nhà mình sẽ đón tiếp nồng hậu. Nhưng không ngờ khi trên đoạn đường về, cô đã gặp một em bé bị bỏ rơi. Vì lòng thương tiếc, cô đã giúp đỡ và nuôi dưỡng em bé này. Khi nhặt được em bé này bị bỏ rơi, cô đã tìm mọi cách để thông báo và tìm kiếm bố mẹ của cô bé. Trong khi đó, Tiểu Phương đã dẫn em bé này về nhà thì đã bị người chị dâu và người anh đã xua bỏ cô, không cho cô vào nhà, không cho cô ở lại và sinh sống trên cái mảnh đất của bố mẹ cô để lại. Và sau đó cô phải lang thang đi tìm nơi sinh sống. Và cuối cùng cô đã gặp được một người tốt. Mọi người hãy đăng ký kênh và theo dõi mình để nhận những cái video hay tiếp theo nhé mọi người. Chúc mọi người một buổi tối vui vẻ.